I don't think anyone knows, but I'm definitely out of my element for this sort of video. But that doesn't matter. You wanted to know my thoughts, and you clicked on the video. So let's not waste any more time. Ragatha is my favorite character in Digital Circus. I know some people like Pomni, I know some people like Kinger. For me, it's Ragatha. And for very good reasons, mind you. About 4 of them. That would be her positivity, her suppression, her pettiness, and finally, her development in the future. I know some of these reasons seem weird, especially when it comes to the pettiness, but let me just talk to you for a sec. I really do love positive characters in fiction. Maybe it's just after seeing a lot of just negative things happen over and over, it's just nice that some characters are just allowed to be nice. Even better when they're nice, but they still have some sort of problems with them, or things that they are trying to achieve. Here are some characters I keep in mind when I think about this. I think of Minari from Toradora. I think of Uncle Iroh from Avatar.
She's my sister and I should be trying to get along with her.
No, she's crazy and she needs to go down.
And hell, maybe this is a blast from the past from a lot of you, but Smiley Bone from the Bone series. I see a lot of these characters be optimistic even when the chips are down, and are simply trying to just make the best out of a situation. And honestly, that is commendable. Especially when I'm in the faith now, I can definitely relate to trying to be the person in order to make things more positive, rather than make things more negative. And with this character trait of positivity, it makes me really like Ragatha a lot. Especially the reasons for her to be positive. Ragatha really tries her best in order to uplift everyone and to make sure that their heads are screwed on straight. She doesn't really want anyone to suffer and be abstracted. And because of that reason, she tries to help people whenever possible. You can definitely see it in the first episode, but in most episodes, she's trying to help everyone. Pomni was the new person in episode 1, so she tried her very best in order to make her feel welcome so that, you know, she doesn't become a fucking mess. In episode 4, we see her try to teach baseball to Gangle, so it's pretty clear that she likes to help people whenever she can, especially when Kinger reminds her that she used to be like Pomni.
Worst comes to worst, we could always ask Kane to find her.
I'm more worried she's having another horrible experience. She still seems really upset about what happened yesterday. I don't think she really likes me that much.
It's a lot for anybody to go through. Don't take it too personally. I remember how long it took for you to adjust.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised you remember that.
Remember what?
She used to be on the brink of disaster, so she knows how it feels. So honestly, it makes a lot of sense that she tries her best in order to be as optimistic as possible, because she knows and understands the pain of being in sorrow. And also, she's just a joy when she's happy and try to be excitable all the time. I know a lot of people had a laugh when, you know, Pomni said some shit to her when they went to Candyland.
Look, Pomni, we're already friends with the princess.
I'm not a child, you don't have to hype me up.
But it's just really nice that the reason for being positive is there, and also, her being positive is just, it's just very nice to see. Especially when you've seen a lot of nihilism go on for the past, like, what, half a decade?
Oh, great, of course. Here it comes. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing shitty things and then feel bad about yourself like that makes it okay. You need to be better.
I know.
Happiness is a trap. It can't last forever. Let's say you meet the love of your life. Best case scenario. Think about this. Best case is that you die at the same time.
The source of the cataclysm was the same as it always is. Man.
You can't be sure of that. Anything...
You know better. Man is a cancer, and I've chosen to cut out the disease.
There is a difference between you and me.
We both looked into the abyss. But when it looked back at us, you blinked.
So yeah, one of the best reasons that I love Ragatha is just the fact that she is a positive character. It's nice to see niceness in a show, and she has a very good reason to be nice. So, that is the first one. Let's look at the second one. The second reason that I love Ragatha is her suppression. We definitely see it a lot in episode 4, and we more than likely will see a lot of it more in episode 5. But the first 3 episodes, we have seen a little bit of her suppression in action.
Why even go on them at all? Why not try to find a way to leave?
Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen. You and everything.
Oh, you know how men are. Always having the silliest priorities.
Don't I know it?
Basically what I mean is that Ragatha holds her tongue a lot. You can definitely see this especially in episode 1 and episode 4. In episode 1, 2 instances of this happens. 1, she actually tells the audience that she never really liked Cosmo's jokes, and further says that she doesn't mean it, but that she was having a bad day. Which means she wouldn't say this to his face normally. It's something that she would usually keep inside, but because she was having a shitty day, she finally decided to air it out. The second would definitely be when she sees Pomni at the end of the episode. You could really see that she has a lot to say to Pomni because, she basically just left her, but she kind of just holds that to herself and she doesn't express it. This actually continues in episode 2, because Ragatha in the intro actually goes to Pomni in order to say everything's alright, when clearly on her face it's not.
Right, I know yesterday was a bit of a doozy.
A doozy.
Oh, and don't worry about the whole abandoning me for the exit thing. It's perfectly understandable what you were going through at the time, and there's no hard feelings. You're all good.
She is suppressing her emotions for peace. It pairs well with the fact that she's a positive character as well, because you have this sort of emotion and drive in order to make people happy, but you also have the truth that you want to say to people, but you don't want them to either abstract or to hate you. So you do what Ragatha does and just suppresses the truth. Hide your feelings from people until it builds up one day when you're in a shitty mood. And honestly, I like the depth that it gives her. It makes her less of just like the perfect goody two shoes, and more so a very layered character that has flaws at the end of the day. It makes it even better when in episode 4, the suppressed emotions finally come out, at least for a little bit. We see things that she normally would not say to people. I'll bring up the Pomni one in a sec, but let's talk about the other ones. I mean, she calls Zubul a grouch, she prefers Gangle have her mask on because she doesn't really like the attitude and also like fake positivity that this mask brings her. And she also just flat out says that even though she hates Jax, she doesn't want him to hate her. That line gets to me, because there's so many things that Jax does to Ragatha, and she kind of, without really saying it, forgives him. All of this bottled up emotion that she keeps doing because she wants to keep the peace is slowly making things worse, I think. In episode 4, nothing really happened. But if this keeps going on, a certain emotional pipe is gonna burst, and I don't know what can happen from that. Having Ragatha have this sort of repressed emotions that she tries to give with herself makes her more of a dynamic character than I really thought. It really pairs well with the fact that she's trying to keep the peace. So there's this part of her that wants her friends to just be fine, but there's also this part of her that just wants to say the truth, and they're battling each other. And I am worried, just like with Gangle, if this keeps battling, she might just, abstract. We could talk about that more so at the end, but there's some food for thought. This character flaw to me is very interesting. It's very dynamic. It's kind of one of the reasons why I love her very much. This conflict of interest can only make things more interesting down the line. So this being part of her character is one of the reasons why she's my favorite. Alright, so the third thing. I definitely think this is a more underrated part of Ragatha's character, but I really enjoy how petty she can get. And this came in two ways. The first came in episode 1. I kind of already talked about that. She had a very snide look to Pomni. Clearly she felt as though Pomni wronged her, but she doesn't really want to talk about it. Although the second part comes from episode 4. When she's on the stupid juice, she actually kind of flames Pomni in this one scene, and I don't really see anyone talk about it.
Pomni.
Huh? Oh, she's flirting with the gummy guy, 'cause she'd rather be with an NPC than with us or something.
Well, that won't do.
I wish someone would flirt with me.
This clip is so fucking petty, it's kind of ridiculous. I know Pomni left her to her own devices while, you know, the clown was doing this awful shit. But this is just petty as hell. First of all, it doesn't seem as though anyone in the Digital Circus group actually thinks that Pomni has some sort of feelings with Gummy Goo. If they know, they don't talk about it, so I don't know, maybe they don't know. But Ragatha goes for the throat and she's just like, oh yeah, gummy guy. It's just so much shade for like no reason. If she's the only one that knows about this quote-unquote relationship, it is fucking diabolical that she reveals it in this way in order to make Pomni look bad. I mean, look what she says. She'd rather hang with an NPC instead of us. It's like, what the fuck, Rag? Were you that hurt by what she did beforehand? It's insanely petty. I think this makes it a little worse because before this episode, we kind of thought they were on good terms because, you know, Pomni had a talking to her in that end of the episode. So it's like, to me, I thought everything was good, but apparently not. This pettiness to me is so funny because she's supposed to be the character that is trying to uplift people. But this darkness that's within her, this emotion that's getting pulled down to her heart, it makes it just... There's so much shit that she wants to say, but she can't say it until this happens, and she just lets out all of it. Or, not all of it, but a piece of it. So, instead of being an adult, we're just gonna be sassy as hell for no reason. Well, there's a reason, but is there really a reason though? Ragatha's pettiness is not just funny. It pairs well with the character traits that she already has, and it's gonna make things very important in the future. Because remember, the next episode is supposed to be Ragatha-centric. And I think what's gonna happen is that this pettiness that Ragatha does have, it's gonna get aired out, probably in the next episode. And she's probably gonna have things to say to everyone. It could honestly change the dynamics of the show. Because now that everyone's garbage is laid out, they have to actually pick up these broken pieces and deal with it. So although the pettiness looks as though it's a small thing, it's really not. Because the pettiness that she has right now is a shadow of the real thing. Although it is a very bad trait to have, it's also very important. This all culminates into the last part about Ragatha, which is her potential development into the future. There's two parts to that. That would be her character herself, but also her past. Let's just talk about the character herself. Like I've stated, Ragatha is supposed to be this positive character, but she has all these negative traits that are really eating at this positive side. And this is potentially gonna be a problem in the next episode. All that build up, all that not saying anything, all that pettiness is probably gonna be into one place, and it's finally gonna explode. Ragatha is more than likely gonna get some pushback for this. And although a lot of the other characters will help, ultimately, it's gonna be on Pomni in order to solve this situation. Because a person that has been taking shit for so long, that has been secluding themselves for so long, I'm pretty sure they have some either dirt or nasty things to say about everyone. And this is gonna be a point where the cast is gonna either have to grow or just hate Ragatha, which could change the story. We won't really know until the new episode comes in, but it really makes me feel good that there does seem to be a build-up, and I really do feel like the next episode is gonna be, if not emotional, then you're just gonna be at the edge of your seat. So we'll leave that, and let's just see what happens. I would want to talk a little bit about her potential past, though. Yes, I have seen a few theories of Ragatha, and I do think there could be some sort of information that you could gather from these things. Primarily that more than likely she came from a rich family, so that's a good one. But let me just add my own interesting part to the mix. Does everyone remember the inklings that we had about Kinger, about his wife and the darkness? Well, before we got the third episode, every single time that Kinger was in darkness, he could remember more things. And that paid off in the next episode where, he's in complete darkness and he remembers mostly everything. I feel like we've already gotten an inkling to that, but we didn't notice it yet. In episode 4, Ragatha talks to the Gloink Mother, and this is what they're talking about.
Leave that poor, pitiful creature alone!
Do all the Gloinks have names?
Of course they do! I love and cherish every Gloink I give birth to! What kind of mother do you think I am?
It's beautiful.
That, to me, is a smoking gun. Whether you want to believe that Ragatha came from a rich family or not, I really do think, in general, she probably came from a big family. And the reason why she feels this way to the Gloink Mother is because, more than likely, there's no information right now, but more than likely, she wants that from her own family. Her home was more than likely not the best. Whether it's because she's not as talented, maybe she's not as pretty as her siblings or whatever, but for some reason, the mother and father don't like her as much as the siblings. Now I know, that's a very big presumption. And I understand if maybe this is just not a smoking gun, and maybe it's just down the drain. I mean, when it comes to FNAF theories, I'm like 0 and like 700, so maybe this is just not my forte. But I think that this actually makes sense, because it actually goes with the character that she already is. It would make sense that she keeps her emotions to herself because she was trained at a young age in order to do that. Since she's nobody's favorite, and if you were to actually retort and try to yell at your parents, all you would be doing is making it worse, it would make sense that her sort of emotional response would be to seclude her emotions in one. If she's part of a richer family, it would make sense in order to be prim and proper, so that, you don't look bad in front of people. And this could really change the dynamics of the character, because it would be less so of an emotional response, and it's more so just deep-rooted emotional pain. And since most of the characters have some type of problem that they're trying to fix, it would make sense that Ragatha would have her own problem. Jax just hates people. Kinger's mind is totally broken because of the trauma of losing someone. Gangle has to put on a facade in order to keep going. And Ragatha's problem is telling the truth. Having this past where, the parents never really accepted you, and you basically, from birth, had to be forced in order to be prim and proper, to not speak your mind, and just be like a princess, I guess. That could really fuck up with someone's head. And even though it's not really, confirmed, this would be really nice to know. I don't really know how the fandom really feels about Ragatha, but I'm pretty sure if we were to know this information, or I don't know, some type of information of her past, definitely would give her a lot more fans. Ragatha in general is just very interesting. She's a positive character that has a lot of negative traits that affect a lot of people. And even though we've seen glimpses of it, we're not gonna get the entire thing until her episode comes out. In the meantime, however, I'm surprised by how much depth and care went to this character. I'm surprised that even though Pomni is the main character, and, you know, we feel her for a lot of her situations, I'm surprised that even with that, I really do enjoy Ragatha the most. She's just everything good about the show. She's enjoyable to watch, she has a complex, and, you know, we want to know more about her. Just like how we saw Kinger's pain and him finally getting his time in the sun, or Gangle finally breaking for that facade that she usually has. We want to see, or maybe not we, but I definitely want to see Ragatha make it. I want to see the culmination of this character, all this stuff that we've seen for the past few episodes. I want it to finally explode. I want to finally get this emotional payoff that it seems like they've been building up for a long while. And I think it's going to be an interesting time if we finally get that emotional backlash, and then they finally rip the rug out and fucking just turn her into a monster. I honestly think that if they did that, I would be fucking demolished. She's my favorite character, you know? But we're not going to know until the end, so let's just wait for it. I hope I put into the words or given you the best reasons why I truly do think that Ragatha, to me, is the best character in the show. It doesn't mean every single other character is just worse than her. I mean, Jax fans have been on life support since, like, I don't know, the first episode, so there's that. And of course, there's a lot of good ones. You know, I love Pomni. I love Kinger. But if I could be honest with y'all, I like Ragatha so much more. Well, I guess that's it. Thanks everyone for spending at least 20 minutes of your day just to listen to this, I don't know, shitty video, I guess. No, but in all seriousness, it's very appreciated. And who knows, maybe I can do this again for many other characters in the series, but I don't know. That really depends on y'all. And other than that, stay safe, everyone. I hope you have a great day.